Your obsession with hand sanitizer might be the exact reason your body is attacking itself. We live in the cleanest era in human history. We sanitize kitchen counters, we sterilize baby bottles, we pasteurize dairy, we filter drinking water until nothing living remains in it. By every measure of public health, we should be the healthiest humans to ever exist. The opposite is happening in our hospitals. Food allergies in American children have risen by roughly 50% since the 1990s. Peanut allergy alone more than tripled within a single decade of that climb. About 1 in 13 children now has a diagnosed food allergy. Eczema, asthma, and autoimmune diseases like Crohn's and multiple sclerosis are climbing right alongside it. The immune system didn't get weaker over the last 40 years. It got bored, and a bored immune system doesn't rest. It goes looking for a fight. This started to make sense in 1989. A British epidemiologist named David Strachan was looking through health data on more than 17,000 children, searching for a link between allergies and pollution. Instead, he found something with no obvious explanation. Kids with more older siblings had meaningfully less hay fever and eczema, not slightly less. The effect got stronger with every additional sibling in the house. His explanation was simple. More siblings means more dirt, more unwashed hands. A constant low-grade stream of infections passed around a household early in life. Those infections seem to be protecting the younger kids from allergies later. He put the word hygiene in his title, almost as an afterthought. That word is why we're still talking about this. Here's the mechanism underneath it. Your immune system isn't born finished. It's born expecting a job, a stream of bacteria, viruses, and parasites to identify and learn from. Regulatory T cells develop by processing those early threats, and part of their job is calming the immune system back down once a threat is handled. Immunologists split the response into two pathways. One is built for fighting bacteria and viruses, the other is built for fighting larger parasites like worms. In a natural environment, that second pathway stays busy dealing with those parasites. In a sanitized one, it has nothing to do. Without real threats to process early on, the calming system develops incompletely, and the balance tips the wrong way by default. The immune system stays overtuned, primed for a war that never arrives, and starts treating pollen, pet dander, and its own tissue as the enemy it never got to fight. Strachan's sibling data held up for years, but critics had a fair point. You can't isolate a mechanism from household size alone. Large families share genetics, income, diet, proving this needed a cleaner experiment. That experiment showed up in 2016 in the American Midwest. A study in the New England Journal of Medicine compared the Amish of Indiana and the Hutterites of South Dakota, two communities with nearly identical genetic ancestry. Similar diets, similar family sizes. The difference is how they farm. The Hutterites use enclosed industrialized machinery that keeps children away from livestock and barn dust. The Amish still farm with horses, and their kids are in daily contact with animals, hay and raw soil. Researchers studied 60 children across both groups. Amish kids had asthma at about a quarter. The rate of Hutterite kids, roughly 1 in 20 versus 1 in 5. Allergic sensitization was 6 times lower. Dust from Amish homes had endotoxin levels, a marker of bacterial exposure nearly 7 times higher than Hutterite homes. When researchers exposed mice to that Amish dust, the mice's airways stopped reacting to allergens that normally trigger asthma. The dust itself was reprogramming an immune response, and it worked in a lab, not just a survey. Antibiotics do the opposite. A British cohort study tracked more than 1 million children from birth to age 2, comparing those given antibiotics early against those who weren't. Early antibiotic exposure raised the risk of food allergy, asthma, and allergic rhinitis, and the risk climbed further in children given 5 or more courses before their second birthday. Antibiotics do exactly what they're built to do. They clear out bacteria. They don't distinguish between the bacteria making a child sick and the bacteria that child's immune system needed as a sparring partner. That exposure can be missed even earlier at birth. A Copenhagen study tracked the gut bacteria of 700 infants at 1 week, 1 month, and 1 year old, comparing vaginal delivery to cesarean section. Vaginal birth coats a newborn in its mother's microbiome on the way out. A cesarean skips that step. Those children had more than double the risk of developing asthma and allergies later, though the risk dropped back down in the smaller group whose gut bacteria caught up and matured normally within the first year. An immunologist named Graham Rook took the idea further with what he called the old friends hypothesis. It isn't infections in general that train the immune system, it's a specific set of organisms humans co-evolved with for our entire history. Certain gut bacteria, soil microbes, parasitic worms, our immune systems learn to tolerate those specific organisms by default, and that tolerance is what teaches the rest of the system to stay calm. A region called Karelia, that's Karelia, gives one of the cleanest real-world tests of this. After the Second World War, the region was split by a new border. Finnish Karelia on one side, Russian Karelia on the other. Same ancestry, same climate. What diverged was sanitation, water treatment, and contact with the natural environment. Researchers running the Karelia allergy study found hay fever was roughly 14 times more common on the Finnish side, asthma about 5.5 times more common. Genetics didn't explain it. Microbial diversity in house dust and drinking water did. Remove those old friends from a population for a few generations, which is exactly what happened across the industrialized world through the 20th century, and the calming lessons never get taught. The clearest proof came from putting the parasites back deliberately. In 2005, a randomized controlled trial in the journal Gastroenterology tested live eggs from the pig whipworm as a treatment for ulcerative colitis. Patients who received it improved significantly more than patients on a placebo. A companion trial the same year in the journal Gut found the same result in Crohn's disease. Doctors were treating an autoimmune disease with a parasite their great-grandparents carried without a second thought. Multiple sclerosis runs the same pattern in reverse. Globally, MS prevalence is inversely correlated with parasite prevalence. The cleanest regions have the most Argentinian MS patients whose disease progression halted after natural parasite infection have been documented directly. A study in Gabon, that's Gabon, found children infected with a parasite common in the region had lower rates of allergic reaction than uninfected classmates in the same villages, breathing the same air. Even the appendix fits. In 2007, researchers at Duke proposed that it isn't vestigial at all. It's a sealed reservoir where beneficial gut bacteria can wait out a severe infection like dysentery, safe from the diarrhea that flushes the rest of the intestine clean, ready to repopulate the gut once the danger passes. In a hygienic environment, that reservoir is never called on, and it sits understimulated instead. None of this means infection is good for you, or that the fix is dirty water and abandoned kitchen hygiene. The trials that work use precise controlled doses of specific organisms in a lab. Sanitation still saves far more lives than allergies cost. What the evidence points to is narrower. The immune system doesn't just fight threats. It needs them on a schedule early to learn where enemy ends and self begins. Take away that schedule and the line gets drawn wrong, not weaker, just aimed at the wrong target. You've probably used hand sanitizer today without thinking about it. The global market for it is worth billions a year. In the first 2 months of 2020, American online purchases of sanitizers and antibacterial sprays jumped more than 8-fold. None of that is irrational. It's a reasonable response to a real virus, but it's one more subtraction from a system that was never built to run on nothing. Your body was shaped by a few 100,000 years spent in close contact with dirt, worms, and bacteria. It's had one lifetime to adjust to living without any of it. It hasn't adjusted. It's still standing at its post, waiting for an enemy that stopped showing up decades ago.